Hey folks, welcome back. So this week we are going to be continuing on with the barn tear down process of trying to clean up the rest of that old thing, get all that out of there, and then we might maybe start burning a little bit with that too. I don't know. We'll see how time permits. And we also have a couple other little projects that we need to get done as well. Alrighty, so for today, the first thing that we are going to work on is getting a handle on the outside of this door right here, because I just have never gotten around to it, and whenever I want to shut the door, I have to grab onto like this board along through here, the one on the bottom, because that's all I've got to pull it to get it shut. So I've gone ahead and I just picked up a cheapo, this is like a $4 or $5 handle, and we're gonna get this thing put on there, make it a little easier to get this thing shut. All right, so now we're gonna pick back up on the barn, and we left off right here before with trying to clean up this sort of old silo thing. And I was actually looking back through Google Earth historical imagery, and this was actually inside the barn. So unlike a lot of silos where they're just sort of freestanding or outside of barn, this was within the barn. But I thought that was sort of interesting, and it also explains why they were really thick tongue and groove boards that were on it. They're actually in a lot better shape than, well, pretty much any other wood on this thing. And that's just, I think, because it's been inside the whole time. Now we do have a couple of rings left over here that went around the outside of the silo, and we've got the rest of them piled over here on the ground. But when we were out here last, these last couple ones were frozen into the ground. So hopefully it's warm enough today that we can get those out. But I think it's gonna be easiest if we kind of come over into the corner, start clearing some of this stuff out of here, and then join back up where we left off last time. So I'm gonna jump in here in the middle of our barn cleanup time lapse because I want to show you something that got sent to me after last week's video. So as you remember, we were working on cleaning up an old silo that was actually within the barn, and it was a wooden silo that had tongue and groove boards around there, and then there were these metal bands that was actually more of kind of metal rods that were bent, and And then there were like these little turnbuckle things that held everything together. And one of you guys watching saw that and said, hey, we had one of those on our farm when I was a kid, or maybe I think it might have even been before him that was this thing was put up. And he actually had pictures from that as well. So as soon as I saw him, I thought, oh, I got to show you guys these as far as what it would have looked like when this was actually standing. So all these pictures were from 1950. In this first one, you can see that they're putting up the structure. They don't have any bands on it yet, but they're kind of getting the first layer of them, and they're staggering the height of the boards. That way you don't have all of your joints at one part, and it just makes the whole structure stronger. Now I believe these are tongue and groove as well, like they would have been with the one here on this farm. This next photo, you can see, I think this looks like the final row of it. So they're kind of doing a second half of it like they did on the bottom, where they're staggering between some short ones and some long ones so that it all comes off even up at the top. And also at this point you can see some of these bands that go around it as well. And actually these look nearly identical, or maybe they are identical to the ones that were actually on the silo here. And in this third photo you can see that they've got I believe this is a silage chopper hooked up here, and it's probably hooked up to a tractor. You can see this big wide pulley belt that's running to it. So anyways, I just thought those were kind of cool, and I wanted to share those with you guys so that you could kind of sort of see what it might have looked like 100 years ago down here. Alrighty folks, well we are just about out of light here today. I know it looks really bright out yet, but I promise you we're just about out of light. The sun's already ducked behind the mountain over there, but y'all, we got a lot of stuff done today. I'm really surprised. We probably got at least 80% of this cleaned up, maybe even closer to 90%, because all we've got left is just this one little corner right over here. So before, the barn went over to there, all the way up there, and then that was the other end of it going along back like that. So I'm really surprised. And then all of that is our wood debris. We got a pile of metal scraps over there, and then a few other odds and ends of stuff that's like non-burnable plastics. But all in all, this went really, really well today. All right, so yesterday we had a little mishap with the tripod here, it was just too windy to try using this thing, and kind of broke a little bit. So we're gonna try super gluing it back together. Eventually I just need to get a better tripod than this thing, something that's got more metal on it, and it should be a little bit more resilient to get knocked over when it's really windy out. Make sure we don't glue anything together that's not supposed to be glued together here. All right, so like I said last night, we were just gonna try knocking the rest of this out here today. It shouldn't take but another maybe hour, maybe 2 hours tops to get that part finished up. And then we can start going through all the rest of this area with more of a fine-tooth comb and pick up all the other little bits of board and some metal from the roof and all that kind of stuff that we didn't get before. Get all that stuff cleaned up. Now, we didn't have enough light last night, but I wanted to show you something kind of cool that I found amongst the rubble. And it's this old wheel, and I'm not sure what it would have gone to. I mean, obviously it would have been some sort of a, horse-drawn something. What it was, I have no idea. I just checked it against the old manure spreader, which you can kind of see right over in there. And this is a different style of wheel than that one is. So I don't think it had anything to do with that. I don't know, it's kind of cool, and that thing is heavy too. Those are some solid metal spokes that go out through there, and they're the full width of the wheel. They're about 1 inch thick. All right, folks, so first thing today, we are gonna do a little bit of work on this tire and rim here. This is one of the ones from the hay wagon that we were working on last year. And this will eventually be running gear for a mobile chicken coop. However, I noticed that this one was not holding air in it, and I brought it up here a while back, and I did some tests on it, and it was actually leaking around the bead. So we're gonna break this bead loose. Actually, I've already gotten it loose. We're gonna check around on the rim, check on the tire, make sure everything's good and clean there, reseat it, fill it back up, and hopefully that will do the trick. So getting back to the barn demolition here, today we are getting back to doing a little bit of fine-tune cleanup, going with a fine-tooth comb and getting all these little tiny bits and pieces of stuff cleaned up. Yesterday, it was such a beautiful day. I decided to go for a little bit of a hike up the back of the farm, up towards the back of the mountain. I wanted to check on a couple things back through there. So that kind of took up the rest of the afternoon, but today we're back at it again, and hopefully this area through here should be pretty well cleaned up by the end of the day. All right, well, we've got it pretty well cleaned up out here for the moment. Now, what we need to do is we need to come back through with the skid steer and then back drag over this whole thing again, and that'll kind of churn up the dirt, and I'm sure we're going to get a whole lot more boards popping up to the surface here again that have kind of been covered over with dirt and, well, just rotten wood that's kind of turned into dirt and stuff like that. So there's still a lot more work to do, but skid steer is just about out of diesel, so I need to make a trip over to the gas station here real quick, pick up a little bit more. I've been meaning to pick some up on the way out here the last couple days, and well, obviously I didn't. So quick intermission, and then we'll be back to work. All right, so today I'm just out here real quick. I've got to drop something off, and that something is this. It is a 3-bottom plow. It's actually a Massey Fergusen make model, so it goes along with the old Massey Fergusen 35 that's underneath the Millhouse there. And what I'm hoping to use this for is that over here where the old barn is, I've been back dragging with the bucket, and I've been doing that kind of partially to smooth things out, but also I've been trying to bring up any boards that are kind of buried underneath there. Well, the teeth on the bucket only stick out about 3 inches, so it doesn't really dig down in there very well. And I know for a fact that there's more stuff in there because sometimes I'll like have the shovel in my hand and I'll kind of just randomly stick it into the ground and it'll go thud, and it'll go down like 4 inches and there's a board down there. But I'm not getting to those because the teeth on the bucket aren't able to go down far enough. So I'm hoping that I can hook this plow up behind the tractor and maybe just run it down in there like maybe 6 inches, 8 inches, no more than that. So I'm not gonna be doing a full plow. I'm not gonna go full bore on it, just take it down a bit, and hopefully that'll kind of bring up some of these boards, and it'll also kind of turn it over a little bit, so it'll maybe bring those up to the surface. I don't know. We're gonna give it a try, but first we gotta get this thing unloaded. Alrighty folks, that is going to be it for this week's video. Next week we should be doing some burning with this barn wood that's all rotten and buggy and nasty, and getting that out of here. We may also be working on a couple other projects too, I think. We'll see. But anyways, that's it for this video. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.